Sarah went to the dredge without me that night. What was my excuse? Homework. She knew it was a lie. I knew it was a lie. Instead of being mad, Sarah went ahead without me, like she always did when I balked out of an opportunity for adventure. Did I get any homework done? No. I just waited for her to get back, for her to send word she was okay. Then the password appeared in my inbox. I was glad to know Sarah was safe, but I didn't know what to make of the creepy video she sent me. I watched it about 10 times that night. I sat at my desk wondering if it was something she'd conducted to scare the wits out of me. That would have been expected, since I refused to go with her into the woods. She was always doing that, coaxing me into feeling guilty. The next morning, I walked down to her house with the intent of congratulating her on giving me a good scare. I wanted to know how she gotten the effect of a scary face in the window, but then the conservation didn't go as expected. You think I made it up? She said it like she couldn't believe I'd even think of such a thing. Like she hadn't done it to me a million times before. I thought it was still part of the act. Don't get me wrong, I said. It's some of your best work. You really scared me with the whole gear sound and... What was that? A man in the window? You must have had help from someone. Who helped you? She shook her head. I can remember it so clearly. All I did was walk into the woods with my camera. No one helped me do anything. You're serious? There had been a long pause, followed by a familiar look of determination. If you don't believe me, let's go back tonight. You can see for yourself. If this were a video, not a journal, I'd have to stop. I'd have to rewind. I'd have to play that line again. If you don't believe me, let's go back tonight and you can see for yourself. And again, if you don't believe me, let's go back tonight and you can see for yourself. I didn't know what it would lead to. How could I have? She didn't even ask. It wasn't, do you want to go back in the woods tonight and see for yourself? No, she was smarter than that. She didn't give me a chance to say no. If you don't believe me, let's go back tonight and you can see for yourself. We watched the video twice more on her laptop. Both times a chill ran up my spine. It seemed real, and usually when I called Sarah's bluff, she admitted it. Besides, I asked myself, how could she have created something so elaborate, so real? Even for someone of Sarah's editing skills, it seemed impossible. I believed her. Tonight at midnight, she said, meet me at the trailhead and we'll go together. You're sure about this? Are you kidding? This town is mine, numbingly dull. We're going to die of boredom if we're not careful. Finally, something interesting is happening. Imagine what a great story this will make. All the stuff we're digging up and now this weird. I don't know what to call it. This phantom at the dredge. It's not a question of whether we want to go back or not. We have to go back. This is what was Sarah at her most preservative. She said it was with such urgency, no doubt because it involved her filming, the main thing that took the edge off her boredom. I have a theory about this. I think what I do is safer than what Sarah does. I can write about whatever I want. Monsters, ghosts, arms falling off, people buried alive. It doesn't matter. What I write because it all comes from safety of my own imagination. But filming requires that there's something to film. And that has a way of leading into real danger. It certainly did for us. I really need to sleep now. But I can't sleep. It's not the disturbing sound of rusted gears set in motion, though I keep hearing them, or the moving shadow in my upper room of the dredge. I have decided that I hate shadows. What scares me the most is listening to Sarah. I can hear the fear in Sarah's voice. Up until now, I saw the video, I never heard her sound like that before. She just doesn't get scared. When she purchased her first video camera, Sarah interviewed a drifter walking through town. This was a terrible idea. The man was not well dressed and stayed and say the very least. All of his possessions were tied to his back in a black plastic garbage bag that he carried a sign that read, "Los Angeles, if you please." Sarah talks to the stranger all the time without thinking twice. She peered into parked cars, eavesdropped in cafes, and occasionally tried to sneak into bars for a lively conversation, not drinks. When we were 11, Sarah convinced me that she could climb up a steep ravine to the very top. She was right. We made it. But we couldn't get back down without the help of the park rangers, her father, my father, and half the volunteer fire department, 3 lumberjacks, and a retired police officer. This event preceded my earliest memory of a stern fatherly advice. Find some other friends. Try out for the football if you want, but stop spending so much time with Sarah. She'll only get you in trouble. There was the hitchhiking incident where Sarah convinced me that we need to visit Metropolis 100 miles away so that we could observe city dwellers in their native environment. When night approached and we couldn't find a ride back home, we were forced to call my dad, and a second warning was offered on the long ride home. You two better stop acting like idiots. It's only a matter of time before one of you gets hurt. There was very little else said. And then, only a month ago, we were caught trying to break into the library on Thursday night. It was supposed to be closed and we had hoped to find more old newspapers. But we found Gladys Morgan instead. She was sitting in the dark with a shotgun pointed at the door, reading The Sound and the Fury. One of the dullest books I've ever written. We were very lucky she recognized us, otherwise she would have filled us so full of buckshots we never set foot in a restaurant again without someone mistaking us for Swiss cheese. Her words, not mine. She also told us we were dumber than 2 bags full of rocks. Then she called our parents. As you can probably imagine, our 2 sets of parents have long preferred the idea of us staying far away from each other as possible. It is a long history of trouble that made them respond so forcefully when something really bad finally did happen. It's why, if you have their way, Sarah and I will never see each other again. I have just made the mistake of checking my email. This is a bad idea. In the middle of the night. I should know better. But there is nothing when I checked for a message earlier. Not even a measly welcome home. All day I've been wondering if my parents found something and deleted it. It's hard to tell how closely they're monitoring everything. But now something slipped through. And I'll admit, I debated whether or not to open it. Because I know the moment Sarah and I were in contact, it would start all over again. Still, how could I resist? I'd never been able to before. Learn from your mistakes, part of me was saying. They weren't mistakes, another part was saying. And of course, curiosity won. Or maybe it was friendship that won. I opened her email. Ryan, I'm so sorry about what happened. At least you're home again. That makes me feel a little bit better. I've hardly left my room. I know they've said we can't see each other because of what happened. I know I'm not supposed to contact you. But it's important. You have to see this. Please drop whatever you're doing and watch. Sarah. I love that. Drop whatever you're doing. Such a Sarah thing to say. Like I hadn't spent the past 2 weeks glued to the hospital mattress wondering when the pain was going to go away. There, a password attached to the bottom of the email. The Raven. I have to say, I don't appreciate her passwords. It's like she's trying to make things even scarier than they already are. Things are creepy enough without being Edgar Allan Poe back from the dead. She knew I'd find her message in the middle of the night while my parents were asleep, and every shadow looked like something was out to get me. Once at midnight, drearily, while I ponder the weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nod nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as someone gently rapping at my chamber door. Does she even know about the poem, or is she just pulling these passwords out of the thin air? Something happened 15 nights ago that had changed everything. I'm sure what Sarah wants me to watch is something to do with that night. It's why I'm writing this down, because I'm lingering fear that has turned into constant alarm these past weeks. I have a dreadful feeling someone is watching me at all times, that someone or something will open the creaking door of my room in the cold night and do away with me. Want there to be some kind of record if I wondered whether or not I should open the email. Now there's no question in my mind. Once you're in, you're in. Once you're caught, you're caught. I have to watch what she sent. I have to do it right now.